Hello everybody, welcome along to our second community meeting. A number of you will know that we are keen to be better informed going forward. I'm Mandy Dexter, your CEO, and I welcome you to our meeting today. I'd also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge our traditional owners, the Ingada people, and their elders past, present and emerging, and help them in caring for this incredible country going forward. So this evening we have a number of Pakita's here. We also had some questions when we reached out to the community, so we'll be providing some information on that, and we'll be giving you a bit of a sense of the way forward. So, and there is time, and we are also wanting them to come forward today. That is a bit of a climb. No, we need to do that.
We can run. Yep.
Okay, so we can run to you as well. So we'll see how we go. We are also live to the community, so it will be interesting. And we can tell how many people log in to see us. So that will be something that we'll also report, because if people aren't coming out, but they're certainly being informed, then that's also a wonderful opportunity that we're keen to measure. Okay, so without further ado, over to our President, who's going to take us through the opening. Thanks, guys. Sorry, it's me. I skipped a page. Sorry about that. Okay, I wanted to take you through our new executive team and have a bit of a quick conversation with you all about what we're doing these days. For those of you that have been around, you will have seen a number of structures, I'm sure, at the Shire, and where we've had a number of different reiterations, and every progressed to going back to having 4 executive managers, and I think, to be honest, it's, from my perspective, and I think Council has agreed, that it's the best way to ensure that we have a direct conduit over those really key areas that really matter. We have upgraded the names a little bit as well, and look, that's just to be contemporary in the industry as much as anything. So I wanted to introduce to you, they're all here today. Our Executive Manager of Community Planning and Sustainability is Stefan Lowe, and he's here down the front. And our Executive Manager of Lifestyle and Community Performance is Amanda Layton. And it's been an incredible opportunity to be able to promote these guys who have worked for the Shire for a number of years, who have a great deal of knowledge and experience, and give them the opportunity to lead their communities. The really fabulous thing about this team is that they are all ratepayers and all have families and a life in Carnarvon, and I think that's an incredible opportunity going forward for the Shire. We are in the process at the moment of hiring an Executive Manager of Infrastructure Services, and I am pleased to say that we schmoozed someone last week, and we're just waiting for him to sign on the dotted line, and we'll be able to announce that in the next few days. So we will have a full complement at the start of May, and we'll be able to kick off and progress in that regard. So very keen for that, and we can make sure that a whole team and some continuity going forward for this year's budget. So I'm very excited in that regard. The teams are pretty much the way they have always been, and so we have development and economic development and community planning, building and those sorts of things. That's Stefan's area. We have lifestyle and community, and you would know that that team is incredibly busy, and there's an incredible amount of events and planning underway at the moment. And then we have our corporate strategy and performance area, and that's our finance and our administration, and many of you will know that over the years that's had to grow considerably as well, with many new laws and changes to the Local Government Act. So it's quite a significant team these days due to the requirements of legislative compliance. And the Executive Manager of Infrastructure Services will be leading infrastructure, which is asset management, parks and gardens, roads, drainage, those traditional things. And they're also the service provider that provides housing maintenance, facility maintenance, the rubbish tip, those sorts of things. So it's pretty much standard as usual. The other thing that we have done is that we're incredibly excited about some really significant projects that we have kicking off, and we are in the process of formalising a strategic projects team. And so they too will be pretty much all on board by May and end of April, and they will be looking at our significant projects like the Carnarvon Activation Plan and projects such as the regional partnerships, a number of you would have heard of, and the airport and those things. But I will hand over to the President for that, and he'll give you a bit of an update of the very exciting things going on.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. First up, I'll just acknowledge the 4 councillors that are here tonight with us as well. Thank you for making the effort, guys. It's been a big day, so wonderful for making that effort. So major projects, it's the front here, and our former CEO and now Mandy's picked up the reins and is really pushing hard. And we certainly have, we've got a list up there, some significant projects coming up, and I'm pretty sure we're getting up around somewhere around the $25 to $30 million worth of projects that are going to hit the ground in the near future. This is a side of the developments in Coral Bay, the RAC, the development, which is well and truly underway. That is going to take Coral Bay into the future, definitely into the future. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful development. There's the People's Park development in Coral Bay, some units which will be very special to go and stay in. I've got a target on one of those. So there's somewhere around the $80 to $90 million worth of there being spent in our shire, with the RAC being somewhere around the 60 mark by the time it's finished, and then the other work that's going on. So it's really wonderful to see that, and I think it's really going to lift the visitation into our shire significantly. But aside from that, we also have the artificial reef, which is going ahead at last. We've got a little bit of a slight hold up on where or how they're going to load these things onto a very large corp development. It's been signed off on, and hopefully starting very, very shortly. Really importantly, Carnarvon Airport runway upgrade. We've got $8 million in the bag to do that. That's to do an asphalt overlay. It's a structural overlay, so that hopefully we'll get a continuation and mostly the Q400 flying in and out of Carnarvon, and that's really important. The plane's full every time I've got on it and gone down, so I think it's only increasing the availability of a decent air service in the town is very important. Also really important, the housing development your shire is doing for Wellington Lane. We'd love to have another 100, but we're working on that. Fruity Cove with their development, and I think a lot of people would have seen that at the back of McGlade Roads there. That's a massive development which is going to bring Leichhardt expansion. I spoke to their CEO this morning. They've started the process of doubling production now. 15 another 25, and then more after that. They want those employees living in our town. So I think that's absolutely wonderful the way they're doing that. So that's a real positive. The regional partnerships and precinct funding is going towards the town centre and the harbour walkway tramway bridge and trails, and the town centre activation and the Justice Reinvestment Project is getting close to hitting the ground with a bit of luck. So it's all positive, contrary to what you might read sometimes on Facebook. It really is very, very positive, and I'm excited with where we're going.
Very good. I know that I have to absolutely applaud the previous CEO and our team because walking into a shire with that much on the table is a very enviable position for any CEO in the state, and to be able to kick off your new tenure with that many projects ready to go is just so incredibly exciting. A couple of the areas that we had some feedback, and obviously what we discussed last meeting. So I wanted to talk through the blowholes issue, and so currently you'll all know that we've been in caretaker. We've now had ministers for about 5 days, and so during January and February, we took the time for me to also be able to understand the issue. I was able to meet with the Department of Planning and Lands and talk to them about the way forward. They are undertaking a desktop review of the management plan and the Shire's notice of rescind motion, and we're going to be briefing with the Minister once they were signed off, and then coming back to talk to the Shire about the way forward. So I have been badgering them for the last couple of days to see if I could have anything further for the update today, and unfortunately I don't at this point. But we have talked about the fact that rescind or not, or where this ends up going with government, that we very much do want it to proceed, and that is Council's biggest stipulation, is that this is something that has been going on for such a long time. So we are waiting on that. What I can also announce today is that the toilets will be opened as of the 31st of March on Monday, and Council voted unanimously today to make sure that the toilets are back open to the community for the season. During April, we will to the state government about what happens with camping, and if we're able to charge and set that up, or whether or not they will under some of their frameworks. So we will be working with them further, and we hope by the end of April to have an outcome for the community in that regard. And equally, we've had about 5 requests for a full costing and expenditure outline of what has been spent on the blowholes from the Shire's perspective in terms of legals and other political expenditure. And so we're in the process of doing a very deep dive over the last 15 to 20 years, and we're looking at having that ready for the May meeting of Council, and then to be able to inform this next community meeting. So there has been a number of different areas, reiterations, staffing, etc. And so we're doing that dive, and we will put that out formally that May, it'll be at the council meeting, and then be able to be talked about at the June community meeting and published. So in terms of the blowholes, things are progressing, and as I said, we look forward to perhaps being able to put out some more positive news about camping and things going forward at the April council meeting. In terms of the tramway bridge, this is a very positive story. We were successful in achieving the regional precincts and partnerships funding. We were able to utilise a substantial amount of that to assist us with stage 1 and at least ensure that the tramway bridge is reopened. Whether or not that can actually happen by this season, we're not really sure at this point. We have got geotech being undertaken, and we do need to then from that finalise the design. We're hoping to be able to reduce costs by being able to share the same contractor that the Department of Transport has brought in, trying to share mobilisation and a range of different things so that they can progress. And we also need to get heritage approval, because we have said that we want to fully replace the best way we possibly can and ensure that the money is something that gives us another 100 years of perpetuity going forward. At the moment, preliminary expenditure is sitting at around, for the whole tramway bridge, is sitting around 6 to 7 million, and we have had some high level support analysis that we can then go looking for further funds. So we're very confident that we will definitely have stage one's funding, and then stage two will progress after that. So we are looking and are bringing on some new staff in the next little while, and I look forward to being able to help keep our website, our newsletters, etc. up to date with these projects a little better than we have just of late, and make sure that the timeframes. So that's all very positive. We did get a question from the community about the fire management and gullies and clearing and those sorts of things. And my understanding is that our level of work that was being undertaken this year has been finalised. And so for the winter coming through, all works have currently been done, but there is a greater mitigation plan, and we are currently applying for further funding to better set up. So our Chesham, Mick Anthony, should be coming out to speak with many of the key stakeholders and really pulling that together and helping everyone understand the next steps. So again, we'll make sure that we continue to update and keep everyone informed of the way forward. The other couple of questions, I wanted to let you all know that we are looking into the project of getting that back reinstated. It was has come out as a very key, important concern from the fire last year, and that it impacted some of the delays and those sorts of things. So that is absolutely high on the list, and we will be looking at the best way to put the numbers back. I think there's been some different opinions as to what works the best, and so we're progressing that, and I'd like to see that in the next budget. So we will be getting that to council for June. Over to you, Eddie, with the Antisocial.
Right, everyone. I think we all know state and across the whole of Australia with the antisocial behaviour and crime that has been committed by at-risk youth constantly, and it's on the increase. It's definitely on the increase. And what are we doing about it? Well, your council in the state and federal governments, and this is basically due to the systemic failures in child protection services, which are ongoing and only increasing. For example, we have government agencies employed in working with these youth and children, and they work from 9 to 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, not when the problems are happening. So there is a lot of reasons for this happening. So importantly, we've put together a justification for a vote of no confidence, which is due to the systemic failures in child protection services, over-representation of Indigenous children in out-of-home care. The youth justice system is in absolute crisis. It's just a revolving door with absolutely no help going to those children. The failure of the local government programs and service reductions in regional WA, and those government programs are in reduction. Rising youth crime in WA and across the whole of Australia, impact of service reductions on at-risk youth, mental health and social welfare failures, and the housing crisis and family instability. And I could go on and talk about lots of other things, but I think everybody's acutely aware of what is happening in our town and what is not being provided by the state and federal governments to make a change. You know, the children of this town, the gentleman had his wallet stolen and they got his bank cards out, went straight out to the Ampol and spent $200 on food and drinks. and and the next day they managed to get the wallet back and the cards back. That's all they brought, was food and drinks. They did nothing else with it. So there's a cry for help amongst these kids that are causing these problems. Yes, there are some worse ones. To that end, council has now endorsed us going to the our zone meeting for the Gascoyne, and then take it to the State Council, where I'm hoping we will get the support of all 24 state councillors, which will then really put it under the nose of the state and federal governments that we are not going to put up with this any longer, and we don't need to put up with it any longer. So we're working damned hard at trying to get some change to occur in this area. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Okay, so just wanted to give you a highlight of what we'll be working on over the next quarter and what our key priorities are. We're moving into the budget and doing our budget planning, and we're very keen to have June, early July budget and make sure that we are on track to be able to really kick the year off. And one of the other really big things that I'd like to do in year of our projects and what those opportunities are for our local businesses, and be able to meet with them and help them plan where their works can come from, and how we can ensure that we can better equip them to be able to provide the service to us. So we're very keen to have an early budget, and the team is all sort of action stations at the moment to get there. We will be doing and continuing with tourism and community activation programs and events, and there is a considerable number of things planned over some of the feedback, and again get these positive stories out, be selling the products that we actually have, and trying to encourage people to stay another night in Carnarvon. So we are looking at what to do in a day, what to do in 2 days, and tap into some of the tours and things. So we'll be doing quite a bit of work in that regard. And again, our events, not only what we provide, but also supporting those very key events, and the Food Council, etc., is all going forward again this year. So we, number one, and very much the key focus of my strategic team. Regional partnerships and precincts funding negotiations, so that's that 15 million. We're in the process of really better understanding what is the federal government's key outcomes. We did actually apply for 30 million, and they reduced the program this year to try and get a bit more money out, I think, to different areas. So they have halved what we applied for, and that's why it's a little uncertain exactly where the money's going to go and what effort they're putting, what they'd like to see for their money. So we'll keep informing the council on that. Operational efficiencies and service standards. I think it's laid bare how well we do things in some areas, and whilst we have people that are incredibly committed and do very much want to do the best they possibly can, perhaps we haven't been and set some standards that could be very well known and easily understood. So if we don't mow some particular parks or something for a while, then you should also be getting notifications that we've had sort of people wondering what we're up to because of the state of things. So we are very much looking at a whole range of how we actually go about our services and our planning, and that'll also play a very big part in our budget. And obviously for the next quarter, a very big part of what we do is with our young people, and the Shire is instrumental in working with other partners on the school holiday programs, and it's also national, also celebrate them and provide some real opportunity that we can try and get them to put their best foot forward and be seen positively. So that's just a bit of a snapshot of the next 3 months for the Shire. Obviously there are many other things, but just in terms of what our real strategic focus will be. So without further ado, we can lead into questions, and if anyone has any questions they'd like to raise, then we will get a microphone to you. Do we have any questions from the floor? Yes, we do. Thanks, Renee.
So one question is now in front of the high season and the antisocial effects here on the in town. How we can get better sorted to help our tourists coming here. If we have 5 or 6 cars opened at the Woolies Park Drive, this will be in the medias immediately. So how we can get sorted here better.
Thank you for the questions, because it's given me the opportunity work we're doing, and we're pushing the state government on getting something done. Increasing the police is proving to be extremely difficult. We've already done that, and we've got an inspector here as well. I understand the police are going to be trying to keep up foot patrols around Woolworths in the coming season, which will help, but in moving the motion of no confidence in the state and federal governments, we're also demanding urgent and immediate intervention, including a full-scale, and this might help you understand if I read what we've actually are telling the government, a full-scale urgent redirection of the funding to community-led initiatives that actually work, the immediate restoration and expansion of essential youth services that have been cut from regional WA, including mental health, diversion programs, crisis housing and family support services. An increase in frontline service resources in regional areas, including Carnarvon, to address the youth crisis with a combination of enforced prevention rather than reactive policing alone. The establishment of a dedicated regional youth crisis response task force in consultation with local governments, Aboriginal community organisations and law enforcement to implement a real and measurable strategy to tackle this crisis. The state and federal governments to formally report on the progress of previous inquiries, royal commissions and policy commitments, ensuring transparency, accountability, and really important, accountability on their failures to act. So we're urging that without decisive action, they will continue to abandon the most vulnerable children in our communities, further fueling crime, social collapse and intergenerational harm. On top of that, there are a couple of programs that have just kicked off up at the PCYC. And I was up there the other day and they had a large number of youth up there fully occupied, and it was great to see because they weren't on the streets, and I know our Shires work closely with those guys as well. So I think it would really, really help if the negativity by some of our community, and it's only a small cohort of our community, that every time there's something happens, it's all plastered over Facebook. That's chasing people away as well. Yes, we have these problems. Every other town has them, but we are doing something about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question. Yes, Mr.
I just want to back up on the last speaker. Monday, 2 cars came to Carnarvon. There's 2 Italians in one and 2 French in the other. And they went to a caravan park and they put their tent up. Passport, no money, and kicked out of their caravan park. So they've somehow got onto us, and on North River Road we've got some accommodation. They're out there. I mean, this has got so bad. It's, you know, all these committees, it's got so bad that it's all these other things you're talking about are insignificant because this is becoming.
I just want to follow up on. I know we're all aware of this, but of course, because we live out of town, when we hear these things, it's more of a shock to us than people who live in town. And I know that you've said you've passed a motion. You're not going to put up with it anymore, but that's a message to us to take action, which we don't want the wrong action taken. But one suggestion, and I know you're putting our case to state and federal level, but because we're grassroots, you could add some suggestions to them. And one is that the police hold parenting classes, the primary disciplinarians, and a lot of the parents have a belief instilled in them by various government and semi-government bodies that the parents are not allowed to even threaten their children with punishment. And the police in the past have said to me they're more than happy to come along to parenting classes or hold parenting classes because they want to assure the parents that we have their back, and apparently don't. I don't know if you realise, but when some children are told by their parents, they're not even smacked, although that would be quite legal. They're not smacked, they're just told like we were told when we were little, if you don't do what your mother says, if you don't do the dishes, if you don't make your bed, if you don't do your jobs, I'll have to get the stick out of the broom cupboard, or I'll have to get the rolling pin. And those children now give cheek and tell the parents they'll be reported to the police. And the parents don't know any better. So I think we need to involve the police, match them up with the parents and give the parents support. And I'm talking, and I know everyone will say to me, oh, but there's some parents that won't listen. They're the ones that have given up. Some of them have said, "Stuff it, the government can deal with it," and that is part of the problem, not just drugs.
Thank you. I'll just answer those questions. But I'll have to start with I did hear about that unfortunate incident where those two people were lost their belongings. I've lost count of the times because I'm in constant touch with the police. The times that they've lock your vehicles, lock your valuables away, because there are children roaming around looking for things. And so many times people don't lock their cars, don't lock their caravans, don't lock their cabins. They do not do anything to protect themselves. And that's making the job of the police even harder. And it was 3 burglaries the other day, and that tied up the entire force that night. So they can't even get out and do their job. But look, why we have moved this motion of no confidence and why we're pushing the state government is the wraparound services, which is what you were talking about, Paquita, that these children desperately need to make the change, just don't exist the way they should exist. There is token work being done, and that's what we're trying to highlight to the government. 3 years ago, we put together the Intensive Family and Community Intervention Program, and the state government didn't even want to talk to us about it because we went to the state government with a fix. We got an extra 11 police in issues that can't find housing for them. The police are acutely aware of what's happening. We're acutely aware of what's happening. The state government is not providing us with the resources to provide the wraparound services these children and their families need, to provide these children with an education. The school teachers are spending half their day trying to get the children into the school. They're not getting educated properly, and it's not the work of the teachers to do that. There are government agencies being paid to do it, but there's no oversight role. I could go on all night about this, the same populations. It is very, very difficult. It's across Australia. But both governments are ignoring us. But I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I agree with you. But we are trying our very best to make a change. And we're having to take some pretty ordinary actions to try and get the government to sit up and take notice.
What is about the community food patrol? Why they stopped? Because I think this is the only possibility at the moment with an intermediate result that we can fix the youngsters, the kids, and also the other people. The community patrol.
The Community Foot Patrol is, Lotteries has reached out to us to have a conversation about reinstating it. It was funded through through Lotteries and other Department of Children and I think even Corrective Services. Did they support some of it?
Yeah, so it was an independent federal government organisation that funded ABC Foundation, which then subcontracted it to Sandhurst Security Services, but that federal funding has now ceased and they haven't come forward with additional funding. So that's back to what the Shire President was saying, is that there's ongoing need to fight for additional funding, although they've just cut grant programs without notice.
And with the housings, I tried to get into the Crow with Jelton, with the people there. They sent me a list with 28 points, and after point 6 I said, okay, I don't need to give host to policemen, nurses or doctors. Because they give a list which is crazy. I understand the Pelican Point. And not only in the low season, also in the high season. I give them to Laker people, I give them to policemen, I give them to everybody. If I get money for this, I will do it. But not under the list of, I need energy saving lamps all over. And. It's crazy. I can send this list to it's asking for. I understand they need a standard. Yes, no discussion about this. The standard is too high. So we need nurses, we need policemen, we need doctors, we need a lot of other people. We have, how many people will work for Lakehead in the future? Where they want to live? I don't spend money for new houses here because I have to refurbish the one which exists already. Yeah.
So the standard of housing is driven by the workforce, and the workforce do not travel to the country like they used to because they don't want to live in the standard of housing that you're talking about. Gro's list of demands is what is driven by the people that they are trying to get to move out here. So, you know, the world has changed and moved on, and you will put someone in a house and a week later they'll be wanting to leave town if it's not of the standard that they want to accept. We are all facing that in many, many areas, and it is very hard to afford. But it is what is going on, and many people will not leave the city today because why would they leave the house that they feel very comfortable in and live in something that they don't believe is up to standard for them? So it is a complex thing that we have happening, and hence why we do need to look at upgrading the housing stock in Carnarvon. Any other questions? Mr. Perry? We need it for the community meeting.
Yeah, Cameron Perry anyway. I think you two are doing a pretty good bloody job down there, and you're probably under a bit of duress. But I have a couple of questions. And the first one is, mate, I think you said, how much enough bag? Have you got the moolah? You know, the tramway bridge, all the other stuff, you know?
Yes, so there's about 40. Well, that's why we're excited, and we're trying to share with the community that there is about $40 million that's secured at the moment to be able to do these projects for Carnarvon. So it's a really incredibly exciting time.
It really certainly is, and I think with regards to the question that the other chap down the front there was talking about the houses, there is a lot of houses in Carnarvon, and maybe get some more, do them houses up. We could have houses for the coppers and houses for Leichhardt, and we could increase the population a little. What's the chances, mate?
Yeah, so that's it. We went ahead with those 2 houses, and council's gone out on a limb to build those, which is 1.3 something or other, which was all that they had available to them at the time. We did get a little bit of funding towards it. We absolutely want to look to grow that footprint, and DG Corp are looking to 52 housing options in their development, and they are telling us at the moment, and we're incredibly encouraged by provide a solution to have more doctors and nurses and teachers and things in town. So at the moment, Council is doing everything in its power. We're also undertaking a review of our previous master plans and where we have some land, and looking to see what we might be able to do through some of the funding programs that the state government has to reduce the overheads and the initial construction costs. So how can we try and get some land ready so that if Leichhardt and others decide to move, then we'll have land that's already serviced and ready to go. So there is some funding through the state government at the moment, and we really want to try.
Over to the lady here. The blowholes, mate. You know, when do you reckon that might be looking like it's going to get a little bit of finalisation? We're still looking at a fair bit of pie in the sky, I think, eh?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, operationally at the moment, we're trying to get DPLH to help us understand the road forward. And so, as I said, they've only had a minister for 5 days, and pretty much since this all sort of kicked off, we went into election mode, and that was sort of incredibly unfortunate, and the process has been on hold in state government. So we do hope to be able to publish a timeline to you all in the near future and help council understand the way forward in a formal way.
I think it's also important to note that this council's acutely aware of how many years this has been an issue, and it's causing division within the community. It is costing the community. We want it resolved. It cannot, and I'm extremely hopeful that it will be sooner than later.
I mean, I thought he was going to give you a date. The issue is that even to give it up and give it back to government or council to take it on and move forward locally, all these things, I mean, it's in the hands of government, and obviously that's why it's taken so long. So we need to work with government very positively and try and find the right road. Really cranky about that, but it is what local government's all about. It's often called a toothless tiger. We can do some very minor things, but when something's in the hand of government, we have to look to them to help us be able to go forward.
I'm Denise Keeley, by the way. Look, I'm just really worried about all down there. You know, it's gone really derelict. You're talking about opening up all these new areas, building up all these new houses. Why can't we fix up them houses? We've got so many there, and all they're doing is going into a derelict state. And it's a bloody shame, because I used to live in Foss Crescent when I first came to Carnarvon, and what a beautiful area that was. It was a lovely little area, and now it's the whole lot is gone derelict. How are we going to fix this problem?
It's very simple, Denise, is lobby this on behalf of our community with the government, both governments, state and federal, to do their job. They are responsible for probably 80 to 85% of the houses over there. I know there's 3 privately owned in Foss Crescent, and my heart goes out to those people, because they're putting up with some absolute rubbish. What?
And it's a shame, because they are beautiful houses. If they were looked after, they were all beautiful houses.
Yeah, I agree with you, but Denise, we don't own the houses, we don't have the management over those houses. Your state government has. And we are advocating and working as hard as we can to try and force the state government to do something about it.
If you have any ideas, then let us know. We have staff in Foss as well. So, I mean, we do live this. Many of the Shire's housing stock isn't necessarily in the better parts of town. So we are understanding the issues, and we have staff living in Foss. So we just in the last sort of few weeks between the President and I, the amount of house in amongst many non-privately owned homes, and that was their life. They were going to live there forever, and they don't know what to do, and they don't have the value or anything. So we do understand, and we're trying to talk to all the right people all the time. But again, it's with state government.
How long is this all going to go on for? Because it's not a very big welcome to country. It's not a big welcome to tourists.
to get to this town, and you've got to produce all these. I don't drink, but because of $16 is the level for a wine, that means all the non-alcoholic drinks that I drink, that used to be $6, they got up to 16 now, because that's what it costs. So, you know, tourism gets bombed, but that's still.
So once again, that'll be up to the liquor and licensing people and the state government. I've written to them on 2 occasions asking them to raise that bottom price, lower the price on the wine, because I'm aware of a lot of people that, especially some of the elderly in our town, that don't mind an $8 or $10 bottle of wine and they can't get it. What was that? Oh, well, we've probably got about 2,500, 3,000 votes in this town, and they've got 300,000 in Perth. Yeah. Where do you think they're going to concentrate? It's as simple as that. The other thing is the police continue to tell us that, and the ambulance drivers and the hospital, that when we have those 2 days of no alcohol sales, they get arrested.
I just want to ask, what sort of structure programs have we got for the youth here in Carnarvon?
Look, there's loads of programs in terms of their events.
Like what?
After hours, etc. Steph, do you want to give me a quick little update? There's a microphone here, Steph. Yeah.
Communities, so we run an after school program, which happens 3 days a week, and that happens generally in partnership with another organisation such as Nagala or PCYC, and then we run what we call the Community Connectors program. So it was once known as the Night Patrol, which was about picking young people off the street and taking them home to a safe place. But unfortunately, the state government changed the model, and through community consultation, that they believe was the way forward. Go out, pick young people up, but we must take them to engage in a program. So we keep on top of what happens through PCYC and other agencies and take young people. But we're constantly looking to partner with other agencies, but they have challenges finding staff, resources. So, yeah.
I know with those programs, but they're still not targeting our kids that are getting up to mischief, doing all the damage. You know, these kids aren't being involved, so there needs to be some other program that needs to be done for them.
So Department of Justice has a program called Hope. So I understand what you're saying. It's very difficult to engage with young people who don't want to engage. We certainly can't force them, but if they have encountered anything through policing, they go through the Department of Justice system, and they have got a program called Hope. But the unfortunate thing, and back to the lobbying that we continue to do, is we are saying you need to have more resources on the ground. They have recently advertised for some youth officers, but there is only one person delivering that program.
But you need Aboriginal people to be involved, and mainly our men to be involved in these programs. Because you look at the women, but we need these men, because it's our young boys who are creating problems in our town.
And look, there is plenty of opportunities if we have those people that we can work with going forward. We would be very happy to support them. I know the the Justice Reinvestment has a number of the traditional owners on the committee that they're forming at the moment.
Yes, I'm involved in that too.
Okay, and that is absolutely about trying to get services that the kids will really tap into and that they will find meet their needs and perhaps provide that mentoring to them. So there is quite a lot of money on the table there, and I know that is the whole point of that program, is to try and get those programs up and running and make sure that they're coming from within the community and servicing them the way that you all want to be serviced. So
Shire, and with our kids are doing damage around the town, probably we should have a meeting with some of the Aboriginals here and meet with the Shire, because we don't like to see what's going on in our town.
Yep, absolutely. We'll get in touch with you and we can certainly sort something out. I suppose at the moment we were given advice that justice reinvestment was the best way forward, but we're very happy to hear the community and understand what they'd like us to do.
Well, that's one program, but then, like with the Shire who's got problems, like with our kids in our community, this is we need to meet also like with the Shire.
Yep, no problem.
Because far too long, like we've seen. And it's the drugs too, that's killing our kids, our families.
Marion, I'm not sure if you were here when I read out part of what we're taking to the state government, but this might help. So, one of them was the approves a vote of no confidence in the state and the federal government. And then number 2 was we condemn the government's ongoing neglect and failure to act. And I won't go into that, but the one I will go into is, once again, is number 3, demands urgent and immediate intervention, including, and I use the word intervention, a full-scale overhaul of the current youth intervention strategies in WA, including the failed Target 120 program and an urgent redirection of funding to community-led initiatives that actually work. In other words, the ACOs are formed and they actually have the resources to get out and work with these children. The immediate restoration and expansion of essential youth services that have been cut from regional WA, including the mental health, diversion programs, crisis housing and family support services. An increase in frontline service resources in regional areas, including Carnarvon, to address the youth crisis with a combination of enforcement and prevention rather than reactive policing alone. And the establishment of governments, Aboriginal community organisations and law enforcement to implement a real and measurable strategy to tackle the crisis that we're suffering. And the state and federal governments to formally report on the progress of previous inquiries, royal commissions and policy commitments. There's been many, but have we had a report on any of that? No. Nobody has been held accountable. And that item was there to ensure transparency and accountability on their failures to act. So I think we're doing as much as we can. But we do need to work together even more. It's how do we find the right path? Yeah, we'll work with you.
Absolutely. Anything further?
Just with PCYC, what's happening with them? I mean, they've got little, what's those little boats? Little canoes. There's nothing like on the water for sports or anything for these kids. You know, it's been there locked up for I don't know how many years. You know, we were a strong community in sports, now there's nothing. There's only football and only 3 teams? We were a strong community in sports. Represented the different towns, represented Carnarvon, and we got nothing. Got nothing.
So we... Oh.
Yeah, I totally agree. But is it the generation that we have now that, you know, we were very sporty, and now I think it's maybe, yes, they're just not. It's just not happening. And you know, that's due to other things as well. It's not, you know, technology.
We do quite a lot of work with our clubs, and I know that we have a program where we try and grow them, and it's all based on volunteers. We have a significant volunteer program. We've been trying to train volunteers, and if the volunteers will come forward to run the sports, because I think that's what we all forget, is that sport was incredibly strong, but it was all volunteers. Everybody was a volunteer. And so today we just don't have the volunteer networks anymore, and the government isn't paying any of us or providing any funding. Can get people back to volunteering, and you know, that's where, like you said, Marion, those mentors and things all came from that, and that's where men played a huge part in many of that. I grew up in Exmouth and some of in Carnarvon, and you know, we used to, swimming was huge, and our coaches were all pretty much male back then. So you got to have strong male mentors. But there is not the volunteering across all aspects of volunteering that was there in the past. And we have to talk to our neighbours and our friends and try and find a way that they're going to get back volunteering for us to ever get back the network of sport, unfortunately.
I agree. Sorry, I agree with the volunteering in the sports. I'm a volunteer at the Carnarvon Junior Soccer Club, but my team last year, 8 young fellows. I never had 8 there, neither on Monday nor on Wednesday. And why? The discipline of the parents. They pay for this, but they don't bring the children there. And this is like everything with our youngs. I agree with you too. It starts with the parents and the discipline. So sports is discipline. And this, you can ask the fellows there. They say, I want Thomas as a trainer. My name is Thomas. Why? Because he's telling me what I have to do. Yeah. But we need the discipline. This is something everybody I heard today. We need the discipline. And the discipline is also to stand up and tell people, don't do it. Stop it.
Okay.
Neither on the bullies, if they put things around the doors, or if they walk into a shop and attack some people like me last Monday. Not boys, girls, up and say, no, don't stop.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. Okay, anybody else have any questions? One more from Paquita, and then if we're getting close to wrapping up, we thank you for your time.
We need to know our rights, the picked on earlier, to smack their children up until they're 18 years old if they want to. They can also verbally threaten their children, but we, the public, need to know our rights too. We were in Germany visiting my sister with 3 little kids. One of them misbehaved on the pavement in Germany, and the public, the general public, he couldn't understand them, but we made sure he stopped doing that. Now, we would like the police to have a meeting and tell us all our rights, because legally parents or parents acting in the people acting in the place of parents are allowed to discipline children. And we're a small town, we've got a village, and it takes a village to raise a child, and maybe we just have to go ahead and do it ourselves and forget the outside world and do what we know is sensible and caring, and the kids will thank us in the long run.
Thank you for your comments. I do suggest that you reach out to your local member. We now have the police to be able to do things for us. We do reach out and ask, and we have strong relationships with the new police minister locally, and we will request and ask for support, but it is with our local member to be able to push for the police, a state government agency, to do anything for us in this town.
Back in 93, 94, my son, 3 of his mates decided to go camping out near Norway Seafood. And in the evening of that night, they decided to set a car on fire. It was an old car, so they put tyres and set it on fire. And then they got bored. Then they went up to the facilities and decided there was soap, so they drew all over the mirrors and set off the fire extinguishers. They had a great time. Well, and then there were some cars parked, and they took the elements off the cars, like a Ford or whatever. They didn't damage the cars. The police got involved. My son and the other 3 boys ended up before a panel with the parents, the guys who owned the vehicles, Norway Seafood. They had to go out, clean up what they did in the toilets, clean all the mirrors, do all that. That was all supervised. Then hit the back pocket. They had to pay and do community hours. And that really upset my son, that he got caught, but he learnt a lesson. He didn't get away with it. And that's what, if kids trash someone's place, they should be made go back, face the people, apologise, help clean it up. You know, they're just getting away with. And his older brother now is a sergeant in the police force, and he wasn't a very nice child when he was little either. But
We need to do it ourselves.
it's just,
Look, thank you for that, and I think we're all acutely aware of the problems we face. They're generational, and it's going to take another generation to fix it, I'm sure it is, because we've basically, I doubt we'll ever fix it, but we've got to make an effort, and your council is doing its best it can. Thank you people so much for attending tonight. I'm available any day of the week. I usually do Friday mornings if anybody wants to come in and talk to me about their issues or what's happening. More than happy if someone wants to ring up, they can ring Mrs Hill sitting up there in the corner and book a meeting with me. More than happy at any time. We'll continue doing these. And I think all we can do is just continue trying. When you talk to your fellow members of the community, ask them to stay positive and take action that you can legally take. In other words, if you see someone doing something wrong, tell them to stop, please. And you might get abused, but at least make an effort. And if we can get change happening at that level, it'll be great. Look, once again, thank you so much for all attending. And we look forward to seeing even more people in June. Thank you.